Crossovers are something that can either be really cool or just incredibly weird and random. There's Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, where Mario and Sonic are at the Olympic Games. In fact, they were at every Olympic Game since 2002 until the Olympics decided they'd rather have the NFTs instead. Then there's Fortnite, which has pretty much everything ever. Peter Griffin, Lethal Company Man, Jack Skellington, Spider-Man, Mr. Beast. Funko Fusion comes out soon as well, and in the box art for that game, Freddy Fazbear is right next to the Back to the Future DeLorean, so yeah. But there is one crossover that's weirder than the three I just mentioned. The crossover I'm talking about is called Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, and this crossover is about all your favorite cartoon characters if you were a kid in the 90s teaming up to teach kids around the world about the dangers of drugs. Yes, really.
What's this? A joint?
There are many ways to teach kids about the dangers of drugs. This is not one of them. I remember my teacher showing this to us once in elementary school, but the only thing I remembered about it was this one scene where the Muppet Babies take the main character on a roller coaster because of course that's what I remembered. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to talk about this thing because it's probably just the weirdest thing ever. This masterpiece starts off with none other than George W. Bush and Barbara Bush telling us that what we are about to watch is a powerful story where our favorite cartoon characters will tell us that drugs, smoking, and alcohol are bad. Also, I'm going to be honest, I did not know that these two were the former president and first lady until they showed the exterior of the White House. I don't think I know my presidents very well. After this, the actual special begins, and we see someone steal a piggy bank. This is also noticed by none other than Papa Smurf, and he rings a bell to tell the other Smurfs about this piggy bank thief.
What's the problem? Who smurfed the bell?
What does that even mean?
Who smurfed the bell?
Papa Smurf takes off his shirt for some reason. It's pretty unnecessary, and he leaves the other Smurfs out of the book they are in. And then we get introduced to the other cartoon all-stars, starting with Alf and Garfield. I don't really care about Alf. The only thing I know about him is that he's mentioned in Young Sheldon, which I finally got around to watching. But I'm a big fan of Garfield, so I'm really glad he's here. Garfield doesn't really want to help find the piggy bank thief because he's lazy, as we all know. But Alf threatens Garfield into helping.
Let me rephrase that. Do you want to help? Or do you want to be lunch?
I hate this man. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Winnie the Pooh, and Baby Kermit show up next, and they wake up the kid that is sleeping so that she can see that the piggy bank is missing. When she wakes up, all the toons become inanimate objects again, implying that they do not want to be seen by humans. This will be important later. But then, Slimer from Ghostbusters comes out of nowhere, eats a lamp, and shines it to where the piggy bank used to be. What? Was that really necessary? Did he need to eat the lamp, or did he just want to? Because I think this kid would have noticed that her piggy bank was missing without Slimer's help. Also, Slimer's pretty close to this kid. How did she not see him? Anyways, the classic squad of Alf, Garfield, and Chipmunks hear the piggy bank break, so they go to investigate while Garfield makes some of his hilarious jokes.
Two sounds you can't miss. A breaking piggy and the sizzle of hot lasagna.
So then this kid's brother comes out with the piggy banks and says that the piggy bank easily has at least $20. This is wrong. I counted them as if they were quarters because that's what they look like, and it was around $7 in the piggy bank, though I could have missed a quarter or two. Sorry, George, but I'm gonna need to take some points off of this special thanks to this egregious animation mistake. Anyways, the toons are shocked that the brother, who's called Michael, would steal his sister Corey's piggy bank. Then Corey shows up and gets mad at Michael for stealing her piggy bank. Suddenly, he drops a box which falls right next to the cartoon characters. Wait a minute. A character named Michael drops a box? Is this Michael Afton from FNAF?
It's Winnie Afton! Winnie Afton! Oh my god!
Now all that's left is find a minion here, and it really will be the greatest crossover of all time. So then the characters open the FNAF 4 box and find some pretty bad stuff, which is probably why it stayed closed in the games.
This is a serious no-no.
Toto, something tells me we're not in cartoon territory anymore.
Thank you for telling us that, Alf. So then Simon from Alvin and the Chipmunks begins explaining that there are drugs inside this box. The other cartoon characters show up to watch what's happening, and Corey begins noticing weird things about her brother. This causes him to storm out of the room, and then Alf delivers another iconic line.
That kid's got a one-way ticket to Nowheresville.
The toons decide that they need to help Michael, so everyone except Winnie the Pooh jumps out of the window to find him. So like, does this happen every time someone uses something and they shouldn't? Do a bunch of cartoon characters come to life to tell him to stop? If so, how isn't their existence common knowledge? So then we see what Michael is up to, and he's smoking. But for some reason, Michael's smoking causes a smoke monster to appear, which I'm pretty sure is meant to be a personification of addiction. One of the kids Michael's with offers him drugs, and the smoke monster tries to convince him to take it. But then the cops show up. The smoke monster leaves, and it turns out the cop was none other than Bugs Bunny.
What's this? A joint?
I'm not sure what he's doing here since he wasn't with the tunes in the house, but whatever. Bugs Bunny finds this kid's joint, as he puts it, which causes him to whip out a time machine, as one does. This is the second video in a row where I'm talking about a time-traveling rabbit. After this is a scene where the parents find out that there's some beer missing, and they ask Corey if she noticed anything strange about her brother, but she says no. Then Winnie the Pooh comes to life to ask her why she said no, and she acts surprised that he can talk. Why did these guys become inanimate objects when Corey first woke up if they're just gonna reveal themselves like an hour later? What was the thought process behind this? Anyways, after this short scene, Bugs and Michael go back in time 2 years ago. Here we find out that Michael was peer pressured into doing drugs, and Bugs Bunny starts saying that peer pressure is bad and that you should say no to drugs. However, the smoke monster is trying to convince Michael that peer pressure is actually cool. Thankfully, Bugs Bunny makes a monster explode while saying that Michael shouldn't do drugs. Classic Bugs Bunny. Also, the past is black and white because of course it is. After this, Michael is away from these crazy cartoons and with his friends who ask him to buy some drugs. Michael is hesitant because they're asking him to get some of the real bad ones. But then the smoke monster steals his wallet and gives it to one of his friends. So is a smoke monster like a real thing? If so, why does no one really react to it? Michael proceeds to go into a sewer where he runs into one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because of course he does.
Cowabunga, dude! How did you ever get so totally cool?
So Orange Turtle sends Michael down a sewer drain, but it's not just any sewer drain. No, it's one of those sewer drains that send you into the human brain. Always gotta watch my step around those. Once Michael lands, this happens.
Where am I?
Well, you're about to take a trip through the human brain.
This is a scene. This is the one thing I remember from this movie. Like the other tunes, Baby Kermit starts telling Michael that drugs are bad, all while they're going on an epic roller coaster ride. Also, the brain they were in was actually Michael's brain all along, so that was a pretty crazy twist. Anyways, outside of his brain, Michael proceeds to fall to the ground, and as he lays on the grass, he begins begging for somebody, anybody to help him.
Are you okay?
Huh?
So now Huey, Dewey, and Louie are here to teach Michael about why drugs are bad, and to do so by singing a song with the rest of the cartoon characters. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't understand half the things some of these characters were saying. Once the song is over, Michael wakes up on his bed revealing this was all a bad dream. FNAF 4 Dream Theory. Corey enters Michael's room, and Michael accidentally hurts her, so now he's sad. Smoke Monster shows up, so I guess this wasn't a dream, and he continues telling Michael that drugs are great. But then Alf shows up in the box's mirror and pulls Michael in. I honestly have no idea what's happening at this point. Alf walks up to a mirror with Michael to show him what he looks like, and it turns out he looks like a Plants vs. Zombie. Wait a minute. Ben Alf says this.
Who's that?
Well, it's not Freddy Krueger.
Why is Alf mentioning Freddy Krueger? This special is meant for 5-year-olds. What 5-year-old knows who Freddy Krueger is? I'm not 5 and I don't really know who this guy is. While this is happening, the smoke monster begins trying to get Corey to do drugs for some reason. So now Michael has to get out of wherever he is. I think he's in a brain and it turned into a theme park or something. I don't know. Then Michael goes to the iconic fortune teller Daffy Duck to see what his future will look like. And he's a dying zombie. The other cartoon characters show up telling Michael that he shouldn't do drugs one last time, and he leaves his brain or wherever he was to stop his sister from doing drugs. He succeeds, but the smoke monster is still trying to get Michael to do more drugs. However, Michael is sick of his antics and throws him away. Then Michael and Corey go to talk to their parents. The end. So that was something.
That kid's got a one-way ticket to Nowheresville.
I'm not sure how effective this was as an anti-drug PSA, but I can't imagine it stopped a lot of people from doing drugs. First of all, I thought the whole point of teaching kids about the dangers of drugs at a young age was that they wouldn't do them when they were older. What high schooler considering doing drugs wouldn't do them because Bugs Bunny said they were bad? Second of all, the only thing I remembered about this thing when I first watched it is the Muppet Babies roller coaster, not any of the things relating to drugs. So either I wasn't paying much attention, or it's not a very good anti-drug PSA. Also, even though the subject matter is serious, I can't take anything seriously because Baby Kermit from Muppet Babies is saying why drugs are bad. Who thought this was a good idea?
Simon suspects drugs.
That would be like if someone made a PSA about why war crimes are bad, but the person giving you the reasons as to why they're bad is a minion. Like, yeah, war crimes are bad, hot take I know, but I can't take this seriously because the person telling me this is a minion. The special portrays pretty much everyone doing drugs as a devious person, which I don't really think is a great portrayal. Drugs are bad, yeah, some of them are really bad, but doing that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. The world isn't black and white, Alf. Well, not anymore, at least. Also, this thing mostly uses scare tactics to prevent kids from doing drugs. Like, you know, the dying zombie Michael. And, like, that is one way to teach kids not to do drugs, I guess. But I think a better way is to educate them about why they are bad, you know, instead of showing them plans for a zombie Michael. In conclusion, listen to Bugs Bunny and don't do drugs. This special is probably the weirdest thing ever. How did someone think of getting a bunch of popular characters made by multiple different studios, as well as George W. Bush, to teach kids about not doing drugs? Who approved this? I'd like to make more videos about educational specials featuring popular cartoon characters. I remember my teacher showed us a special of Donald Duck going to a land full of living numbers, so that'll probably be the next one of these I make. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play the real best crossover ever, Gru at Freddy's. For anyone that came to this channel because of the games, I swear I'm still working on them. Bye, I guess.